Welcome to Just Minding My Business Media. I am so happy that you joined us today. And I am so excited to bring to you Ken Rapp, who is the CEO and co founder of BluStream, which is a company reshaping how brands build loyalty, reduce churn, and drive revenue after the sale by owning the product experience. Wow.
Thank you.
Welcome, 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 Ken. So, when you talk about reducing the churn and bettering the product experience, can you explain to us what that actually means?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me and BlueStream on your show. We're excited. Um, so what's interesting is that if as we looked out at the landscape and we see that the e-commerce and online buying has really made it difficult in the pre-sale environment to differentiate a brand and a product. And the example I use is I just typed in that I wanted to get some dog food for my dog, and I got over 1 million hits of like potential dog food. And I said to myself, geez, you know, after I buy the dog food, I generally don't have a lot of help. I have to, the assumption is I know how to use the product or I know how to read the instructions on the back. And essentially what we determined was if we provided a connection, a new channel to a customer around the product after the sale. For example, asking a question, what kind of puppy do you have? And how much exercise might you be taking your dog out for? And do you live in a hot climate or a cooler climate? We could begin to build an automated relationship through these messages or dialogues we call them, so that a brand could have this value-added trusting relationship with their consumer after the sale. And so now when it comes time to buy again, that consumer is connected to the brand, and so they'll basically have a pretty high conversion rate when they recommend through a trusted channel, a trusted set of dialogues. Hey, it's probably time for you to buy some more food. And did you know that we have a supplement that could be helpful for your kind of breed, might have itchy skin? The cross sell is incredibly powerful. So to date, the most important part of sort of what we stand for is everybody ahead of a sale. All the systems and all the technologies are doing great. You know, you have CRM, you have your websites, and you have e-commerce, and we even track our products all the way to a doorstep of our customer, our consumer. But from the doorstep to delight, what BlueStream we call the doorstep to delight, is the next step in e-commerce and post-sale experience. And so by connecting to the customer, the results are super powerful. We see 30% plus reduction in churn. We see 20% plus increase in average order value through those recommendations. And we see lifetime values just, grow by a factor of 2.
Wow, I like that approach because I mean, I'm one of those people I order online pretty much all the time. And, I get a thank you email basically thanking me for my purchase, but I don't. And then sometimes I might get something that may be like leave a review, something like that. What did you think of the product? But I never get what you just mentioned. What in your example, the dog, they need to know what kind of dog you have, how much exercise. That's like really important questions when you buy dog food and you up against millions of other providers of dog food.
That's
So
right.
I'm
Uh, I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
oh, go right ahead. Go right ahead. That's
Well, we're super passionate at BlueStream about helping brands and leading product providers with this connection. And I'll share a story from one of our customers who said, when her store was small enough and she was just starting, she knew every dog's name and she knew every pet parent's name and she knew how often they did things and what their lifestyle was with their pet. But as she began to grow in the business, it just became impossible to have that personal touch when it became thousands and thousands of customers. And so BlueStream provides that same personal touch only in an automated way. And then what she gets is she gets to see the data. So, you know, the, it's we're all about how do you make more of your customers your best customers, right? So you can quickly see when someone is struggling or having a problem. For example, if there's a video that you might have on your brand and your product's website that helps be a startup guide or a how-to guide or some tips, and your customers are clicking on them, you can see that this audience, this segment of your audience is actually clicking on it, and that might be an opportunity to reach out and provide them with a few more tips or maybe even a personal phone call to help them if they're struggling in the same area of a dialogue. We call them product journeys throughout the life cycle of the product, which could ultimately be a series of dialogues that go on throughout the journey. So I loved her story because she was all about personalization and not you can't do it at scale if you're an individual or a team. So providing this automation, just leveraging technology to be able to do that. Most of our customers use SMS or text messaging.
Mhm.
BlueStream offers our journeys in SMS or in internet-based messaging or WhatsApp or other channels, but most of our customers use text messaging these days.
Yes, yes. Well, I'm just loving it because that after the fact is important because, you know, it shows a level of caring about your customer.
100%. And we find that the NPS and CSAT scores to be just off the charts. You're talking about. So here's a great example. One of our customers, um, they actually on their journey at the right moment asked the question, "Are we meeting your expectations with our great product?" And they get feedback that says, and in this particular example, when we first started working together, it was only around 50% of their customers were saying yes, like you've met my expectations.
Mhm.
And what our automation did was it started a dialogue with all the no's and said, geez, can you help us understand why? Is it because maybe this, that, or the third, another thing? And with not 93% of the ones who said, no, you're not meeting my expectation, continued on with a nurturing dialogue that showed you care, just like you just said, I like that says, we care as a brand about you being happy. And I call it the 6 star, the delighted star. And those who said, yes, you're meeting my expectation, we run them right over to, well, here's our link to leave us a review. Would you mind leaving us a review? And those that said no, we took the corrective action with the incremental dialogues and then move them either to leave a review or a direct call, right? A link right to their support line of the brand. So you're now going to get right to those customers who are struggling so you can help them.
Wow. I love that, and it takes a lot of the work out from the company because the automation is there, number one, to be able to, you know, determine what the next step is going to be. So
Yeah.
that gets me to how brands are use that data, because what's the point of collecting data if you can't use it? You know what I mean? So can we talk a little bit about that?
Sure thing. So we see the data being used in both front end, I'll call it, and back end. Front
Hmm.
end being revenue. How do you grow your revenue through delighted customers? And so by having information about product usage, the the particular unique set of data around how your customers are using your products leads to incremental revenue through higher retention, through repeat sales, and through the right recommendations at the right time. Knowing that a Chihuahua is exercising, going for a walk for 10 minutes a day versus a Springer Spaniel that is going for, an hour a day or is not because they should, changes the recommended next sale. And so the data unlocks the potential for a business to make the right recommendations at the right time to their customers. The second side or the back end is if you see a lot of struggling going on with a particular question or a link to most of our customers have all the content and guides and tips already on their websites. But when we buy things as consumers, we generally use Google or a different search engine and don't go back to the website that where we bought the product and might be confused by that. And so you'd see the data around struggling consumers, which leads you to even build preventative journeys that will prevent calls from coming into your support line. So some of our customers have reported a dramatic reduction in the support costs and the team because they prevent the problem from happening in the first place.
Wow, that's awesome. Wow. So let me ask you, if companies want to work with you, how do they do so?
Yeah, great question. So we have actually a team of customer success leaders, and anyone on your audience is, I'm happy to take, a first chat with, so they can reach me directly at ken@bluestream.io without an E. But generally the process is we'd have an introductory meeting and talk about the objectives and the products that your customers, your clients are providing. And then we have what's called a journey builder. And right there live in less than 5 minutes, we'll type in the product brand, we'll type in the product name, and then hit a button and our technology will combine the content and tips and information that's publicly available about that product and brand with our knowledge about usage data from our data lake on when to send a welcome message, when to send the question about, are you ready to unbox that product? Because sometimes, like you said, sometimes you'll have a product arrive at your door, but you're not going to open it till the weekend. And yet you might get a promotional message saying, hey, would you like to leave us a review? You haven't even opened the box yet, right? So what our journey builder does is it goes out and looks at our data lake of cadence and content, I call it, the when to send which message and the publicly available information from the brand and product that we're talking with, the company and the product line, and combines that and actually builds a journey that's a draft starting point for our customers to get started. And with a few edits and connecting the right links up to the journey, they're up and running.
Wow, this is amazing. So, I
Thank
mean,
you.
this it
Thank you
really
for that.
is because I mean, as a business owner, you know, especially a solopreneur, you always trying to create stuff all the time. And I mean, I'm very grateful for AI because it has definitely cut down a lot of my creativity time for sure. So, what I want to ask you is when you bring a customer on, okay, and you talked a little bit about it. Does the size matter? Does where they are in their business matter? What kind of things matter to your company?
Yeah, so we work with a lot of early stage companies that are growing. We also work with some very large household names.
Mhm.
Um, but so to us, our job as a technology partner to brands in an industry like this is to make it as simple and light of a lift as possible. And so using tools and technology, we can have some of our customers will use some templates and tools right out of the box, and other companies that maybe the larger ones they have the ability to change things edit things and add their own touch points and dialogues, and it's a continuous process. Once you get started on the BluStream product experience platform or PX platform, you can continue to add dialogues in context of the product lines. And so we work with, from small to very large companies, and it's on us to make sure that it's something that's easy for someone to do and quick, so that you can be up and running if you're small, or if you want to put in more work and really tailor the personalization to your brand, you can do even more of that as you go. And I'll give you an example. There's an industry segment that I love. I'm a musician and I play a mean rock and roll guitar. And that's, to a degree, there's a history here as to why we started BluStream around that. I have a guitar that actually cracked. And it cracked because I live in the Boston area and it's cold and dry up here in the winter. And some of my colleagues as well, we got together and had challenges with a particular guitar. And what's funny is I have a lot of guitars. Don't tell my wife how many I have. But I have enough guitars that I'm not a beginner to a guitar. Yet this particular model, which is a beautiful model, it was very susceptible to humidity. And because it got so dry and cold in October, November, it cracked. And so, you know, to me, we love the musical instrument industry, and we found ourselves helping the kids in the rental programs in elementary school and high school. And if you think about that business, that's simply like a subscription or a repeat business. They rent a violin or a cello or a guitar every month, and the the more you can keep the kids engaged and excited, the more likelihood the following semester they're going to keep going. And very similar to our work that we do in the pet wellness and human wellness and subscription economy, they lose 50% plus of those school kids, students, in the first semester or two. But by nurturing them with automated dialogues about that violin, did you know that if you put a little special oil on the fretboard, it will last longer and be easier to play? And then asking a question, how often do you play your violin? And I might say 15 minutes every other day. And you might say, I love it, I'm playing an hour a day. That data will help our client, our customer, support those consumers, those renters. For example, maybe the lower or lighter player needs some lessons. And so offering some supplemental lessons to the school program is a cross-sell, upsell, but not for the sake of the sale, but for the sake of helping the student actually achieve love for playing the violin. And for the one who plays a lot more, maybe they should be offered a workshop, because you have workshops every month and they didn't know about it, for more advanced players to get together and jam. And so what we see is the same thing. We see increased repeat sales through understanding the behavior and usage of the instruments. And then we see the churn reduction of 30 to 40%. And that means we're really psyched that there's tens of thousands more little kids, little souls out there still playing music who would have been lost had they not had that nurturing and support through an automated set of dialogues.
Yes. And we all know nurturing works. It works with our kids. So why wouldn't it work in business? For sure. Wow. So let me ask, what type of companies do you work with? Service companies? Give us a snippet of the different types of companies you work with.
Yeah, so we find a great question you asked, to tie back to the last one, is the ideal customer for BluStream is a business that sells a product or service that has some amount of complexity and could use some guidance. So if it's a very, very simple product like buying a case of soda or water, you really don't need BluStream. If it's special water with, these days, wellness and health ingredients in it,
Mhm.
there's a great use case, because those consumers maybe finding out why they're buying that water. Is it for diet? Is it for exercise? Do they have a goal of running a 10K by the end of the summer? Then you really can nurture around that. So our best customers are the ones where you care a lot about repeating revenue. Again, if it's a one-time sale, like you're buying a house, um, and that's it, I'm not sure that you really need to engage that consumer, because consumers who buy houses maybe only buy them one house every 10 years or something. But if there's a repeatability to your business model and you're losing customers, we're an excellent fit, and we're a center of the bullseye, a double bullseye. If your product really needs a little nurturing and guidance throughout the course of the life cycle of the product, we're a perfect fit for small or large companies. We're, software, hardware, physical goods, and services.
Okay, well, you explained that very well.
Thank you.
Very well indeed. Wow. So your platform, is it a handheld type scenario, or can it be a do-it-yourselfer? How's the platform actually engage customers?
So typically when we as consumers buy something, we will start their journeys from the point of sale system, whether that's a contract that's signed, and then the contract system automatically starts our journeys, or if it's Shopify or WooCommerce, where your consumer clicks a button and says, I'm buying this, and they buy it. The journey gets triggered, and from there it goes in that cadence and content based on our view with your customer, the brand, on how they want to run those journeys over the following days, weeks, and months. So from a BluStream perspective, we really do today work with all our customers one-on-one. We call it a white glove. There's no fees for the white glove, because together we're building this post-sale product experience market and category, and we're learning from that to get smarter about it and better. And our job is to provide more tools and technologies to make it easier and easier for our customers to deploy and expand.
Yes. Okay. Wow. So you're getting carte blanche service, you know, all
Yep.
the way.
And what we do is we charge a monthly fee for the number of connected consumers that are active and that you have as a business. So we're in it. It's an interesting thing. We had a discussion about this at the company, at BluStream. We are incentivized to delight you as a brand, because if your consumers start on journeys and then stop, then BluStream won't get paid. We're paid on making sure that the messages and dialogues are going to nurture and engage and build trust between the brand and their customer. And I'm super proud to share that our connection rate, we measure every day, is north of 90% to the end consumers who start on journeys with BluStream. We have some even too high to mention, but the average across all our customers and all consumers is over 90% connection rates, where consumers are still receiving messages, where they're engaging by responding, clicking on tips and educational links, answering questions about how often they use products, are they happy or are they struggling, all those kinds of things are engagements underneath the connection rates. And all that data is at our clients' fingertips.
Wow. That's awesome, Ken. I'm just, you've got everything covered. There's accountability there, because if you don't do a good job, then the customer doesn't owe you anything. And that's kind of important. And that gives your company incentive to really strive to be the best that it can be.
Keeps us busy, I'll tell you that. And I'm only 35 in here, but my body's no longer 35. And, I've been lucky enough to be involved in helping solve what I call unmet needs in the past and in my career. And the only way that you succeed and build, wonderful relationships with people and businesses is when you own your half of the equation,
Mhm.
we're committed to not just provide, some hard technology that someone has to go struggle with without, us learning why and fixing that and making it easier and easier. It's not perfect. I mean, it's very important. We have a list a mile long of things we want to do, and like every business, we only have enough resources to do part of the list. So we'll just chip away at it, but we're excellent listeners. We want to hear from our clients. We want to know what it is. That's how we're growing so fast, because we're listening to the market. And I call it get on the field of play and listen. And then our customers will teach us what they need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. You must listen to your customer. Because I know when you first start a business, you got this beautiful business plan. And as soon as you put it in action, you quickly find things have to change based on your customer, for sure. Wow.
100%. Not a
Like,
straight line, is it?
no, indeed, not at all. So, Ken, again, how can companies connect? Because this is an amazing opportunity to be able to take all of that frustration companies have and, in customer retaining, retaining the customer base.
Yeah, so in 10 minutes we can run a quick journey builder analysis, and the result of that is really two things. One is it will provide you as a brand and a company for that product line with a set of dialogues that we recommend would be absolutely wonderful between you and your customer. So we have about 15 to 20 dialogues that we automatically generate. And the second is we generate what we call our doorstep to delight draft journey. And so 10 minutes of a conversation. Delighted to do this if any of your listeners would like to learn more. And my email again is ken@bluestream.io. And I'll provide some links that will allow your audience to check us out.
Absolutely. Wow. Thank you so much, Ken. You have definitely dropped some gems on us today.
Well, thank you for that. It's a lot of fun to work with great people. And so thank you for having us today.
I appreciate you saying yes for sure because I often think about that, after the fact kind of thing. And because I'm small enough at this point, I can reach out to people. I can talk to people, but I know it's going to come a point where that's not going to be feasible. And having your service around to make sure that the communication continues in a caring way, because that's important.
Yeah, I'll leave you with the thought, one of the consumers of one of our customers. So one of the consumers who I met at an interaction opportunity, she
Mhm.
said to me, I actually feel like I have a new friend on my phone from the brand, like a friend. And that was really, we have Friday lunches or virtual lunches every Friday with our team. And I shared that story from this particular end user, end consumer. Um, and I'm saying, and we told the brand, can you imagine if you were a brand and you've got thousands of people out there, customers, and you have them feeling like they're friends with you because of the messaging. That's a very special thing, and that's what we're striving to do.
Oh, wow. That is a beautiful thing, Ken. Because if you can work with a business and they make you feel that way, you are definitely on to something. And at the top of the game, because most companies do not make you feel like that, especially the larger companies. Oh, wow. I am so happy that we met. And audience, I know there has been a lot of gems dropped this day. And reach out because at the end of the day we all want to retain our customers. It's one thing to get the customer, but it's a better thing to keep the customer.
Well, it's a great point there. It's 10 times harder to get a new customer than it is to keep a customer. And like I said earlier, all of our investments to date, most of our investments have been to try and get customers. And it's so hard. And we work on that. We invest in that with CRMs and with, websites and e-commerce, and then even tracking to doors. And after the sale, we invest in when a customer has a problem, they can call our hotline or use our website, and they have a support line. But there's this huge opportunity in between those two places where your customer is, you want them to fall in love with your product. And we just simply have put together a platform to allow that to happen. So thank you so much for having us today.
Thank you. And we definitely have to do this again, Ken, because I really enjoyed your aura. It's one thing of bringing information, but it's also another thing as to how you make your audience feel. And you have done both. You made us feel comfortable while bringing good information.
That's very special of you to say. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, audience. We appreciate you being here as well.